It is January 16th, 2010. This is Kayla
and Shanice
on
KSZD
KSZD
Weekly.
Weekly. This is our very first episode, so our first topic will be appearance. I personally think that people are insecure, mainly about their skin color and their weight, because of society, friends, and basically peer pressure. Shanice, what are your takes on this?
Well, I have to disagree with that. Yes, society and peer pressure has a lot to do with people changing and wanting to change their appearance, but I don't think 100% of the times it's family and friends. Because yes, you do have those family that you have those friends and family that will just sit there and be like, you're ugly. Those aren't friends, first of all. Second of all, you have to, if they're friends and family, they'd build you. They wouldn't want to break you down.
Well, I never said 100%. I never said 100% of the time. It's family, friends, and society. I'm just saying it's peer pressure in general. Because you open a magazine and you see a skinny girl there, or she's light skinned or something, and people portray that as beautiful. But that's not 100% of the time. Because there are other magazines, such as Vibe and Ebony, and they have dark skinned males and females there, who are models, and they look beautiful. And they're old, so they don't have to really look young and their skin is sagging. Their appearance is just neat. It's not perfect, but it's just neat.
The unfortunate thing about that is the fact that these magazines that you're talking about are not as popular as People magazine and Cosmo Girl and 17 magazine, because unfortunately those are the popular ones. Those are what a majority of society want to see. And every time you look at a magazine, no matter who it's directed to, it always has something about weight and skin color. Weight and age. Many of them don't really talk about skin color unless they look at it as an issue. They don't try to say, well, Jessica Alba's light skin, so she's more beautiful than Angela Bassett, which is totally not the case. But when it comes to all magazines, young and old, they talk about weight and aging.
I understand that too, and it's the same thing with the commercials. All you see is, make your skin look beautiful. Use this. Take out the wrinkles. Make your skin look brighter. They want everybody to look a certain way. And you're right when you said those magazines aren't as popular, but for those people who have them, they should know that not only light skin is beautiful, everything is beautiful. You have black, you have Asian, Chinese, anything, Dominican, Puerto Rican, any person of color. Everybody should be beautiful just the way they are. Maybe some people aren't getting it through their head because they're ignorant. They think,
that's I don't think ignorance is entirely the case. What many of the cases are is the fact that they target these people, mainly young women, when they're little girls. Because if you tell a little kid Santa Claus is real, he's gonna believe it unless you can prove to him Santa Claus is not real. They're more gullible. So when a little girl at 8, you tell a little 8-year-old you're ugly because you're fat and dark skinned, she's gonna grow up wanting to lose weight, wanting to bleach her skin, or if you tell a little girl you look old, you're 8 and you look like you're 15, you need to stop, they're gonna want to use aging products. That's why we have so many young girls getting sick, because they're forcing themselves not to eat, using diet pills, bleaching their skins, using aging products.
I understand that, but I'm not saying that because of the young girls are sabotaged, brainwashed actually, to thinking this way looks better than this way. It's grown people too.
That's my case. They grow up thinking that way. It's harder to manipulate an older person than it is a young girl. If an older person has confidence, I love my dark skin, I love my bigness, I love the fact that I look older than I am. it's harder to tell them, well, society don't like that, so you should change yourself. It's really harder. But you get these girls when they're younger and insecure, it's easier to manipulate them.
I understand that, but I'm saying older people, they get manipulated too. Like 20 years old and older, like 30 and older, they do get manipulated too. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be young and people have to put it in your head that light skin and skinniness is beautiful. Older people think that too.
But that's where it starts. Those same older people, if you look back at their history or their past, you ask them if they have ever had insecurities in their lives. I bet you a good majority of the time, a good majority of them will have some type of insecurities in their past that cause them to be insecure now. Because if you grew up with confidence and you live all your life in confidence, it's hard to break that confidence. But if you grew up all your life insecure, it is easier to break you down.
I understand what you're saying. But some people, they do have confidence. Maybe just not enough. And the people do actually break them down and manipulate them into thinking that a certain way is the best way. And it doesn't if you're older and you're brainwashed into it, that doesn't mean that back then, when you look back on their history, they had low self-esteem and they were doing this and they were doing that. No, nobody has put, like, all right, here's an example. So you're about 25 years old and nobody put it in your head that a certain way is the best way. And then all of a sudden, like, you go into an industry or you're just reading through a magazine and they say this is pretty and this is pretty, and then next thing you know, you keep reading, you keep going, you keep looking, you keep trying to understand it, and next thing you know, you're thinking that this way is the best way for me to look. I have to look this way. Doesn't mean that back then they were brainwashed. Doesn't mean back then people put it in their head that they had to look a certain way. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Actually, I do not. Because in order for you to feel, first of all, when you're in your 20s, you're young. Well, this is still society talk, but in my world, or in common sense world, not my world, in common sense, when you're in your 20s, you're still young. You were just a teenager not too long ago. So you're still young. When you're in your 20s and 30s, you're still a young person. What I'm saying is, no matter what little bit, you could have an ounce of confidence in you. In order for you to crumble when you're so-called confident, you have to be in your heart insecure. That's why I believe that these girls are easily manipulated. They can be in their 20s and their 30s. I still think that's young. Or, here's the bigger problem. They want someone to like them. These are for the straight girls and the gay and bisexual, lesbian and bisexual girls. They want somebody to love them. So they think if the person say you need to be 20 pounds less, I'd love you more. They look for love in that, even though those are really wrong places to look for love. That's what I believe makes these girls insecure. Is either they're looking for love, or they just grew up insecure and nobody in their life has said to them, you're really beautiful. You know, nobody can love you like you do. You understand?
I understand what you're saying. Well, obviously, we have two different meanings on what we think, like what's brainwashed and what's not, and what's this and what's not. So, to all the listeners, we'd like to know your opinion. The questions we want to ask you are, does weight and skin color play a big role in your life? Does it matter to you so much that it's basically taking over your life, like it's living your life for you? And the other question is, what do you think about it? What do you think weight and skin color mean to you? What do you think appearance basically means to you? We'd like to know.
To let us know, you can text us at 347-962-4615. You can aim us at KSZD Weekly. or you can tweet us on Twitter. Our name is KSZD Weekly.
And we're running out of time. Thank you very much for listening. And remember, keep
love
real. Thank you.